bigger message than motherhood is bad. The message of this show to me, I just saw it last night, and I see it all over pop culture, is like that women have been dealt a bad hand by fate, by life, by men, and so I'm wondering, and again, because it's just like the star of this show, the last night, and seemed to be the heroine or whatever, Renaria, basically wants a man's life. And so I'm wondering if, as women, do you feel like you're disadvantaged or have been given a bad hand in life by being born a woman?
No, I don't feel that way.
No, I reject the premise, maybe just because I'm a contrarian with other things as well, but I just don't. I grew up thinking that I could do whatever I wanted and be whatever I wanted to be. There was never, like the wokeism, if you will, and just saying, oh, you need to be this, you need to fit into this box. That was never how I was raised. So
the New York Times quote that I mentioned in my monologue, I'm pretty sure it's the New York Times or it's the LA Times, but I'm pretty sure it's the New York Times. As an exploration of societal contract, of the social contract in a decadent monarchy and an allegory for grab bag, blah, blah, blah. House of Dragons reasonably smart, but the anger of Renaria and other female characters at the practical and sometimes violently physical price they pay for being women is presented in believable and often moving ways. And so, and again, the New York Times is writing this and suggesting this to me as like, this applies to modern society, that there's this price women pay just for being women. And there's a focus from the Me Too movement to these glass ceilings that women can't shatter and whatever, that we have constructed a society that's unfair to women. And part of my argument and part of why I reject that is just like a lot of the cultural norms that have driven America have been driven by reality. And the reality of like men in the workforce, if you go before all this modern technology, I don't think women in the 1800s, when men were out there busting their ass on a farm and going out hunting and chopping wood and hoeing and doing all this stuff you do on a farm, I don't think women that were homemakers were sitting around going, man, I got a bad deal. I wish I was a man that could go out there and do all that. I'm not saying they were sitting there going, oh, I got a better deal. I just think they were more accepting of their roles. And so if we go back to these medieval times, I'm just wondering, we've heard from Renaria, she'd rather be out in the fields killing each other and jousting with men and killing each other in games, I guess. But I just don't know if most women were sitting around, man, they're walking 100 miles to go off and kill each other. Wish I could go.
See, I grew up doing a lot of guy things. I stayed out in the woods, I built forts, I hunted, I fished, and I didn't learn to cook. So I'm not the best cook, so I missed out on that. But see, I have brothers and my dad, and I have my mom, but I just did whatever my brothers did. So I guess I'd be more like her, right? Be out there jousting.
I
don't know. I do a lot of guy things. I mean, I'm more of a tomboy, I'd say.
Do you think that's a tomboy thing, or is that a Southern thing?
It could be a Southern thing.
My having lived various places, to me, women in the South hunt and fish,
play sports.
It's a good social thing. It's a good date.
Yeah.
If you want to spend time with your man, go fishing with him.
I was so sports driven. That's all I knew. Like, I played 14 years. I wanted to play football if they let me, but they wouldn't let me.
Wow.
Yeah, I was sports driven.
I mean, I was a sports commentator for however long and very, similar upbringing, I guess. But when you look at what you're talking about, of course, this is the narrative that we're being fed. I just reject it. I don't think that I got a bad deal out of all of this. And I do think that a lot of this changed. We talked before on the show back in the 1970s when everything changed. You used to be able to survive on a one-income household, and now you need 2 incomes to make it work. So because we're in that different scenario, women feel like they have to go out and provide a little bit more for the family now.
Yeah.
So, Steve, I'm going to bring you into this. The thing that they're doing, I'm going to broaden it out a little bit and relate it to myself. We're in this time where everybody is being convinced, hey, man, you got a bad deal. And so as a black person, allegedly, oh, you got a bad deal. You were born black in America.
Yeah.
And I completely reject that. At no point in my life have I ever wanted to be anything other than what I was. I didn't feel like being black disadvantaged me. I really didn't. And trust me, I know that maybe in some areas, in arenas, maybe it was harder for a black person to get through the front door. But I think I always felt like once I got in the door and showed my value, my race became completely irrelevant. And I just bought into, because I wasn't a great student in high school or college. I didn't apply myself really until the day after I graduated college, or maybe the last semester of college when I wasn't playing football. That's when I started taking life very seriously, and that's when I got super competitive about my career as a journalist and things like that. And I was just determined to be better than everybody. And I didn't see being black as some sort of impediment. And I'm just telling you, I've never in my life thought, oh man, if I were white, X, Y, and Z would have happened to me. But that does seem to be the messaging of everything coming out of corporate media and popular culture, is that, oh, if you're a woman, you got dealt a bad hand. If you're a person of color, you got dealt a bad hand. And I just reject all that. And so, Steve, I don't know how that applies to being an Asian.
Well, okay. Being Asian means, you know what? You guys are okay. You're not actually that oppressed. Your culture seems to be doing okay. We see all the liquor stores and laundromats. You guys are white adjacent. See, we get the exact opposite. We're on the 180. But going back to what you and the ladies were talking about, I guarantee you last night, if Serena Williams was watching that show based on our conversation a couple days ago, Jason, Serena's probably thinking, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. This is why I have to quit tennis at age 40 to take care of a kid. And here's the interesting thing. For years, and I don't know if this applies, there is a reason why women outlive men. That's a statistical fact. And if you look at all the old black and white pictures of the pioneers and the building of America, and I see pictures of guys like 1,000 feet up in the air on steel beams, eating their lunches, their ham sandwiches and their ding-dongs that their wives pack from. They're literally eating lunches on steel beams, right? That's their day. You look at the coal miners. You look at the men that really waged war, whether you agree with them or not. They're all men. And I think the crime of modern-day feminism is that it's not about equality as it was maybe when it was hatched years ago. It is about convincing otherwise content, happy people and almost brainwashing them into being very, very aggrieved and angry. I think that's the biggest problem that I have with modern-day feminism. And I say that as a man. I get it. It's not my place. But you know what? I don't care. That's my opinion.
Very good opinion. All right, so is this a thing? Should we watch again next week and have another discussion? Or